Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about IRAs, specifically a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. But before we get into those two, we first need to establish and have a good understanding of what an IRA is in the first place. So, an IRA, basically IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account, as you see here. Now, if you watched the last video about retirement accounts, specifically about 401ks, you probably remember that a 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement account. It's started by your employer, it's offered by your employer, it's facilitated by your employer, and all you do is participate if you want to. With an IRA, though, it's different. It's an individual retirement account, which means the responsibility for starting the account and maintaining the account is squarely on your shoulders, hence the name individual retirement account. So an IRA, one quick thing about it, since we're talking about 401k plans, is you can actually contribute to a 401k plan if you have one at work, and you can contribute to an IRA as well. The limits for 401ks for 2022 are $20,500. That's the most you can contribute into your 401k this year in 2022. And when it comes to IRAs, I'll actually get into how much you can contribute at the maximum in just a little bit. It's $6,000. I'll just say it right now. It's $6,000. So the question becomes, okay, well, who can contribute to an IRA? And as you see right here, you have to be an adult. Okay, you have to be at least 18 years or older to set up an IRA and to contribute to an IRA. And you also have to have earned income in order to make contributions. So what that means is you need to have income, but not just any income. You can't have interest income or rental income, like passive income. It needs to be income derived from work. So earned income can be like wages that you receive from a job, a salary you receive from a job, commissions that you receive from a job. So those are just some examples. It has to be earned income though. And the way it works is you can contribute up to the amount of earned income that you have for the year for 2022. So if you have earned income totaling $4,000, you can contribute up to $4,000 into IRAs, into a Roth and a traditional IRA if you wanted to. We're just talking about Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs today. So $6,000 is the most that you can contribute into all of your Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs combined. You can actually have multiple Roth IRAs, multiple traditional IRAs, but the way that the IRS treats it is, this is very important. What you have to do is you take a look at all the money you contributed to each one of those Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs, and you add everything up together. As long as everything that you add up does not exceed or go over $6,000, you're good to go. You're okay. If it exceeds $6,000, I believe you have to pay a 6% penalty on the amount that exceeded $6,000. Now, if you're 50 and older, the limit is actually $7,000 because they allow you to catch up if you're over the age of 50 and you're still saving for retirement. So these are the limits. $6,000 for 2022. That's the most you can contribute into all of your Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs combined. And if you're at least 50 or older, it's $7,000, not $6,000. Okay, so those are the limits. Those are the people that can make contributions into IRAs, into Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs, adults with earned income. All right, so now that we have an understanding of an IRA and how an IRA works, I want to get into the Roth and the traditional, but first, I believe I already mentioned that, right? I just wanted to mention that you can contribute into like a 401k plan or like a 403b and an IRA if you wanted to. So you can do both, but there are some limits. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about some of the limits. So be sure to check that out. So before I get into that, or that's for another day. So let me go ahead and move on to the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA. I'm going to compare the two. We're going to talk about what they can do, what they can't do, and then we'll wrap it up by talking about what they share in terms of similarities. So starting with the Roth, did you know that if you have a Roth IRA and you're 59 and a half or older, you can withdraw money from your Roth IRA tax-free, meaning you don't have to pay any taxes. That is huge, especially with, if you're in a higher tax bracket and you're going to have to pay taxes on money you take out of retirement accounts. If you have a Roth IRA, you actually don't have to pay taxes on the money you withdraw from it. So that's really nice. If you're in a higher tax bracket, you're going to pay a lot more in taxes than somebody in a lower tax bracket. And if you don't have to worry about paying taxes because you have a Roth IRA, that's amazing. Like that's a really good feeling. So that's one of the advantages of having a Roth IRA is tax-free withdrawals at the age of 59 and a half or older. Now on the flip side, when we're talking about a traditional IRA, that's not the case. So anytime you make a withdrawal, no matter how old you are, you're going to be taxed on that withdrawal. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say your taxable income, you're doing your tax return or somebody's doing it for you, and your taxable income for the year is $40,000. So taxable income is $40,000, but oh yeah, by the way, you also withdrew money from a traditional IRA. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add the amount of money you withdrew from your traditional IRA. Let's say it was $10,000. Okay. So you're going to have to add that $10,000 to the $40,000, which means your taxable income is really $50,000 because you withdrew money from a traditional IRA. So basically, withdrawals from a traditional IRA is considered ordinary income, which means you're going to have to pay income tax on it. It's considered income. Okay, that's unfortunate. But the nice thing about traditional IRAs is you can actually do this. You can deduct your contributions from your taxable income. So using that last example as an example again, let's say your taxable income, you're doing your return for this year and you determine my taxable income is $40,000. Okay, say $40,000. But let's say you maxed out your traditional IRA for the year. You contributed all $6,000 that you could possibly contribute. So what you can actually do is you can say, all right, my taxable income is $40,000, but I contributed $6,000 to my traditional IRA, so I get to deduct the $6,000 from my taxable income, which you do the math. 40,000 minus 6,000 is 34,000. So you're going to pay taxes on $34,000 instead of paying taxes on $40,000. So you're going to save some money. So that's just an example, just to give you a better idea of how the tax deductibility works. So it's really nice if you have a traditional IRA and you can deduct your contributions. Now, back to the Roth IRA. When it comes to that same thing, when it comes to contributing money to your Roth IRA, as opposed to a traditional IRA, you have to pay taxes. So you don't get to deduct your contributions from your Roth IRA from your taxable income like you can with a traditional IRA. So that's a disadvantage with the Roth IRA. So for example, if your taxable income is $40,000 and you maxed out your Roth IRAs for $6,000, you can't deduct that $6,000 that you in money that you contributed to your Roth IRA. You can't deduct it down to $34,000 like you did with the traditional. It stays at $40,000, so you're going to have to pay taxes on $40,000. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of the tax implications when it comes to withdrawing and contributing to both a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. Now, let's go over one of the similarities that the two share. So I mentioned earlier, 401k plan is an employer-sponsored retirement plan. It's sponsored by your employer. Your employer facilitates the plan, and you simply just contribute to it however much you want to. With a individual retirement account, like a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, it's an individual account. So it's your responsibility to set up the account, and the accounts need to be opened at financial institutions. Now, go ahead and check the description in this video. I'm going to leave a lot of information about Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs, and I just want you to check that out, because anything that I didn't cover here, you can find in the description. But yeah, that's pretty straightforward, right? So you're going to have to find your own financial institution where you want to set up a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. Once you set up the account, you've got to make contributions. You decide how much you contribute. And how much you contribute is one thing, but you also need to, once the money's in the account, you also need to invest the money. So that's, again, your responsibility. So there's more responsibility when it comes to establishing an IRA, whether it's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. But one of the nice things is you have more investment options. Regardless of whether you have a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, within an IRA, you can invest in multiple things. So with a 401k, for example, or a 401k, for example, usually you're just going to be able to invest in mutual funds alone, and that's it, and a limited array of mutual funds. With a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, you can invest in many, probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of different mutual funds. You can invest in individual stocks. You can invest in ETFs. You can invest in so many more things within an IRA as opposed to a 401k plan. So there's more options. In both the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA offer you, open up those options to you, as opposed to a 401k plan. So that's something to keep in mind. That's pretty much it. The next few videos are going to be about Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs and the tax implications for them. So I think what I'm going to do in the next video is I'm going to go into greater depth as to who can make contributions into these accounts and how much can you deduct. And it's all based on your income. It depends on whether you're single, whether you're married, and whether you're head of household. So it depends on how you file your taxes, how much you make for the year, and factors like that. So if you like this video, like it. If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. But that's all I have for you in regards to Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. These are just the basics. I'll get into greater detail in the next few videos. So be sure to subscribe if you want to check those out. When you subscribe, you'll be notified when the next video comes out. But as always, I thank you for watching, and I hope that the information that I presented to you today is going to positively impact your life. Feel free to share the video with somebody else that you think might benefit from this as well. So like, comment, subscribe, and as always, I hope you have a positive day. I hope you have a great week, and I wish you nothing but the best. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So that's all I have for you today. I will see you in the next video. Signing out for now. Take care.